There are lots of different needles to choose from these days, from circulars, straights, fixed circulars, interchangeable circulars, different materials. I have reviewed quite a few needles on my website for the last few years, including Knit Pro, several of the different Knit Pro ones because they do so many, and Chow and Lantern Moon, Prim ergonomic needles, Higher, probably some I'm forgetting. But recently I was asked if I'd tried the Seeknit bamboo needles. I hadn't even heard of these needles. The yarn shops I've been in the last, I don't know, year or so, I guess, don't stock them, so I hadn't actually seen them. So I haven't tried these needles. So when one of you asked me if I tried them and what I thought of them, I thought, I need to investigate this. So I quickly ordered a circular needle, and I've been trying them, so I thought I'd review them for you in today's video. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns, I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through our website YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. So as I said, I reviewed loads of different needles over the years. I've tried loads of different needles. I have my favorites. I'm going to do a video soon about my favorite needles so far. But I've recently got a new needle. Chow have a new needle out, and I want to try that one first. So I keep postponing this, my favourite needles video, because every time I think of doing it, there's a new needle. A few weeks ago, one of you lovely viewers asked me if I tried the Seeknit needle, and I hadn't even heard of them before. So I Googled, I found some. I did actually order these from Amazon because I think it was just before Unravel, and then after Unravel I only had one day at home, and then I went to Norway, and I wanted to order them before I went to Norway because I thought I can use them to knit something while I'm in Norway. Because taking needles on the plane, I've never had any problems, and I've taken metal needles loads of times with me on planes, never had any problems, but I feel like it's probably safer to take wooden needles, so I thought, as these are wooden ones, if I can order them and get them before I go to Norway, that would be ideal. So I did actually order them on Amazon because I could get them delivered quicker, and I could also get them delivered for free to a local Amazon pickup locker. I have had a look on the Seeknit website, and I can't find any fixed circular needles on their website. And I've also looked at a couple of websites that sell the Seeknit needles, and I can't find any fixed circular ones. I can only find interchangeable ones, which makes me wonder whether they no longer do fixed circular ones. Are these older ones? I did think, are they fake? But I don't think they are. It's got like all the information on the back and things. So I don't know why I can't find the fixed circular needles, but I'm assuming the interchangeable ones are similar. And I think if a needle brand do good quality interchangeable, I think if a needle brand do good quality fixed circulars, the interchangeables are usually good quality as well. The only difference would be if there's a problem with the join. I may see if I can get hold of some interchangeable ones as well and try those, but I wanted to film this because I have been working with these quite a lot lately, so I thought I would give them a quick review and let you know what I think about them. So on their website, among loads of other information, one of the things it says is bamboo that grows in Japan is especially hard and resilient, reinforced by fibers called fibrovascular bundles, giving it excellent luster. They only use carefully selected naturalized moso bamboo grown in Japan, and unlike any other material, the strong durable fibers in bamboo make the needles light and flexible. So one of the advantages of bamboo needles, and one of the reasons people are drawn to bamboo needles, are the fact that they are a little bit more flexible. Now these are 4mm ones, so they're a little bit thicker, so you may not be able to tell the flexibility that much, but if you get thinner ones, I used to, when I first got back into sock knitting, I used to use bamboo needles, and they were about 2.5mm, I think, and they were quite flexible. I can't remember what make they were because it's a long time ago, but a lot of them, and at the time I mainly used double pointed needles, And I like bamboo because they weren't too slippery, so my needles didn't slide off very easily. And I had loads of sets of 2.5mm bamboo double pointed needles, and they all got a little bit bent because obviously they're quite thin, so they do bend quite easily. So that would be my only caution about using bamboo or any wood needles, especially in the thinner sizes, is that they can bend a bit and they can break. I don't think that would be as much of a problem with these. Last time I broke a needle, I had bought a pair of liquor needles in 2.5mm fixed circular needle for sock knitting. I put it in a project bag, shoved it into a backpack to go to a conference in London, got there, pulled my knitting out, and my needle tip had broken because I'd obviously shoved too much in my backpack probably. So I nearly actually bought another liquor 2.5mm fixed circular needle when I was in Norway recently to knit a pair of socks, and then I thought, no, don't buy them that thin, stick to metal for socks, because obviously the thinner they are, the more likely they are to break. I've never had any needles this thick break, but obviously if you were to sit on them or stand on them or anything like that, they can break because they are wood. Metal is not going to break, but there are people who prefer wood needles for various reasons. Wood, especially bamboo, is warmer to the touch. Metal can feel a little bit cold to the touch. The problem with some bamboo needles is that they're not very smooth, so people don't like knitting with them because the stitches don't slide along the needle well enough. The metal needles that I've used, which is mainly ChowGoo, Nipro and Haya, are very, very smooth and slick, and the stitches slide along the needles quite easily. Some people love that. I really love that because it helps me to knit faster. I know some people don't like it because they feel like the stitches slide off the needles. So in that case, bamboo needles might be better. The problem with some bamboo needles or wooden needles in general is that the points aren't very pointy. They can be a bit more blunt. One of the things I knitted while I was in Norway recently, I used a 5mm needle, I think. It was the yarn I bought in Norway, so I hadn't brought any needles with me for that thickness yarn because I wasn't planning to knit it. But I bought some yarn in Norway and decided to cast on straight away, and I didn't have any 5mm needles. Now I could have bought a pair in the yarn shop, but when I bought the yarn I didn't know what I was going to make with it. And also my mum is a knitter and she has loads and loads of knitting needles, so I raided her knitting needle box and found some 5mm bamboo needles, and they were very blunt. I didn't mind so much because it was quite thick yarn, and I prefer pointy needles with thinner yarns, especially if I'm doing lace knitting or brush knitting and that kind of thing. For this particular project I didn't mind the fact that they were blunt, but it did remind me that bamboo needles can be very blunt. These needles are quite pointy. They're nice and smooth. They're very, very slick. The stitches slide across these needles very easily, but they're not so slick that they slide off. The join, the metal bit here, is like brass colored. I don't know whether it's actually brass or not, but it's brass colored. I have used this to knit a couple of smaller projects, including this cow that I knitted in Norway, and also I knitted a lace headband in Norway. So I've used it for quite a few hours, but not for like a whole sweater or anything. But the needle size is printed on the needle here. You probably can't see it. And so far it has not rubbed off. It's not that easy to see. I'm trying to feel whether it's, I think it feels like it's actually etched into the wood rather than just being printed on the outside. In my experience, a lot of needles that have the needle sizes printed on the outside of the wood tends to rub off, but if it's etched into the wood or into the metal join here, it tends to be easier to see it over time because it doesn't wear away so quickly. But it isn't super easy to see. It's got the American size, I guess it is, 6, and then it says 4.00mm. It's got the American size on here, which is 6 and 4.00mm, so 4mm. And this is an 8cm long circular needle. My main thing that I don't like about them is the cables. Cables are clear, so they're fine. They're not colored. Some people don't like the darker cables that some needles have. These are clear, so nice and neutral. The problem is I store my needles the way they basically came delivered. So they came delivered like that. I roll them back up like that to store them, and then I take the needle and go through the middle twice. Hang on, or 3 times sometimes. Hang on, there we go. So that when I put them in my needle pouch, they stay like that. But that means that when I open them up to knit with them, they do sometimes kink a little bit. And if I was knitting a sweater or something that would take up the whole needle, that wouldn't be a problem because my knit stitches would fill the whole needle. But if you're knitting something smaller, that kinkiness with the cable can get a little bit annoying. You do have some needle brands now, like Lantern Moon and Chow that have cables that don't do that kind of kinking, and they're a lot better. The cables are very thin, which is good when you're doing magic loop and things like that. And I don't mind the cables, but they annoyed me a little bit when I first started knitting with them. The join here is very, very smooth. There's no catching here at all. I don't know what it's like if you're using bigger sizes, because I don't very often use bigger needle sizes anyway. Rarely go above a 5mm, and I rarely even use a 5mm needle. Yeah. When there's a bigger difference between the cable and the needle, sometimes this join, it has to go from this cable to the full circumference of the needle quite quickly, so that can cause problems sometimes. But this is very, very smooth. There's no catching on here at all. My yarn didn't catch on there at all. Like I said, I was knitting this cowl and a lace headband, which is knitted in 4mm needles. But I quite enjoyed these to knit with. They were quite pleasant to knit with. I was knitting the lace headband when I was traveling to Norway recently, and my I traveled to Norway now with just a backpack, but my backpack is very full, and my knitting was in a project bag in my backpack. I would just put it in there, zip it up. When I got to the airport, I had to get my liquids bag and things out, and then I just shoved everything back in, and these survived. They didn't break or bend or anything like that, so they're hard wearing, but they do have a bit of flexibility in them. I can just see it when I bend it like that. I don't want to bend it too much because I don't want to break them. Points are good. They're nice and smooth. They are probably among the slickest bamboo needles I think I've ever tried. Certainly much better than the ones my mum had, and I don't know what brand they are. And this joint is very smooth. So I'm very impressed with these, and I really like them, and I would be happy to buy more of these if I needed more needles. But my only thing would be that the cables are a little bit kinky, because I've gotten used to knitting with Lantern Moon and Chow cables, which don't do that kind of kinking. I'm a little bit spoiled when it comes to cables, but I think these are very good if you like wooden needles and bamboo needles, but you find them to be a little bit blunt sometimes and not quite slick enough. I think these are really good needles to try. They're Japanese make. They have a UK website, which I will link below. If you're anywhere else in the world, just Google them and see if you can find them. Like I said, I had a look at some of the websites that came up that stock them, and I can only find interchangeable ones, and they only seem to have interchangeable ones on their website. So if you've used Seeknit, or if you have a yarn shop that stocks Seeknit, let me know. Do they only do interchangeable ones now? Are these older ones? Like I said, I bought these on Amazon. I don't like buying knitting supplies on Amazon. I don't normally buy knitting supplies on Amazon. Because of where I live and the availability of things locally, there are certain things that it is much easier to order on Amazon. But I try to avoid buying knitting supplies on Amazon and yarn and things like that. I tend to try and get them from an online yarn shop if I can't get it from a local yarn shop. But because I wanted these delivered quickly before I was going to Norway, and I didn't want to pay for delivery for one needle, I knew that if I ordered it from Amazon and got it delivered to my local locker, I could get them quicker and free delivery. So that's kind of why I did that, really. It has made me wonder whether they are not available in fixed circular needles, and the ones on Amazon are old ones, or whether the yarn shops that stock them have just chosen to not stock fixed circular needles ones because most people are buying interchangeable ones now. I don't know. Normally if I'm buying circular needles now, I do buy interchangeable ones. But these just happened to come up first on Amazon, so I just ordered them quickly. I didn't do a lot of research into these before I ordered them because of the fact that time was of the essence, because I wanted to get these before I went to Norway. So this is made by a company called Kinki Amibari, which was founded in 1916 and is a manufacturer of Japan's finest bamboo knitting needles. Produced from specially selected Japanese bamboo of only the finest quality. They are superior in flexibility, durability, lightness, and are also warm to the touch. Perfectly formed tips are made by highly skilled craftsmen. You can read more about it on their website. It looks like they do some other needles as well here, but I have not seen them before. The company is called KA. So let me know, have you tried these needles? Do you like them? What do you like about them? Would you try them? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.